Greetings, family, and a warm welcome to the Blacknificent show. You are with your guest host, Difference Mabasa, and we're bringing you a special edition of the Blacknificent show. I'm super excited to have a special guest today, someone who is a big fan of the show as well. So we have a subscriber here, Paulina. How are you?
I'm good. And how are you?
I'm doing fine, man.
Yeah.
So we're out here in Pretoria enjoying some nice views and enjoying the sun.
Sunshine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like this place?
I love it. I love the view. I love the fact that it's warm today because I'm a bit I'm not a fan of winter, although I
Yeah.
was born in winter, but
Oh,
yes,
when is your birthday?
in July.
Also, it passed.
Yes, it passed.
Happy belated.
Thank you.
Happy belated. So you're a fan of the Blacknificent show,
Yes,
right?
I
A huge fan.
am. I am. A friend of mine introduced me to this show. So, um, lately, though, I can't say I watch it frequently,
Mm.
but it's a show that I constantly go to on my YouTube and find out what you guys are busy with. You
Mm.
know, get some nuggets and
Yeah.
all that. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So today is going to be a little bit different because I don't want us to like just focus on one aspect. There's a lot of things that I want to, talk to you about and,
Yes,
and
yeah,
a lot of
yeah.
different aspects of your life. But before we get into that, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and
Okay.
for the viewers and people that might not know you?
All right. Hi, beautiful people. Hi, everyone. My name is Paulina Palesa Tsolo, and I'm originally from the Eastern Cape. That's where I was born. And later in life, we moved to KZN, which is where my family is based. Uh, I'm differently abled, which means I live with a disability. I love saying I'm differently abled because I believe that um, in in the disability itself, there's a hidden ability that people seem not to know about, or if they know, they are ignorant about. So that's why I address myself as differently abled. I I'm just alive and I'm happy to be alive. I love God so much. He has done so many great things for me. I love people. I'm just full of love, man. Yeah, that's me.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's interesting. And I can say that you are really an amazing person,
Oh,
based
thank
on the
you.
few interactions that we have had. Tell us
Yeah.
a bit about your educational background because I think that's one other important area.
Oh, I did. I did my primary somewhere in the Eastern Cape, which was a school for children living with disabilities or children with special needs. It was a boarding school, and then I moved there to do my high school here in Soshanguve, a school called Philadelphia Secondary School. And then from there, I then did my psychology degree with Walter Sisulu University, which is in the Eastern Cape in Umtata. Then I think because of the accessibility of the place, I moved to NMMU, Nelson Mandela Metropolitan University, to continue with my psychology studies, and I got a degree in psychology. Then it happened that I didn't have funds to continue with my studies, my post grad, and then I found myself having to do internships, and after that, and then I was I was sitting at home, not doing anything. And then that's when I saw an advert on social media, and a Belgium campus, which is where I am today, which is an IT varsity. They advertise that they are looking for people who are interested in doing IT and who have disabilities or are differently abled. So I then took a chance and I applied, and yeah, here I am. I started studying here last year. Last year was my first year, and this year I'm doing my second year. I'm doing a diploma in IT. Yes.
Interesting stuff. So I just want to like pick up a few things from what you've said, right?
Yes.
So you say you started at Walter Sisulu. I
Yes.
know Kosa people call it Wusu.
Yeah, Wusu.
You were at Wusu and you had to move to NMMU, and that was because of accessibility. Let's
Yes.
talk a little bit about that. Do you feel like our educational facilities in the country are accessible enough for people living with disabilities?
I can say yes and no, depending, because with Walter Sisulu University, I struggled a lot, because the structure of the university itself was not user friendly. There were stairs everywhere, stairs everywhere. And for me, using crutches, it was a struggle. I remember at one point I would have to crawl to where I want to get to, because we had to change classes. It's not a matter of you sit in one class and a lecture would come. You have to be in a lecture, and when time comes, you leave the lecture hall, you go to another lecture hall. And for me, that was such a struggle, because at the same time, you can't depend on other students, because they are running also to get to the lecture in time. So you have to see to how you get to that certain place. So yeah, so our educational institutions, yes, some are trying, because I've been to Nelson Mandela Metropolitan University and in PE, and I promise you, everything for me was made quite easier, because firstly, there's a disability unit with counselors, with everyone that you would need for help, and those people take responsibility of saying, we are here for you. Anything that you need, which concerns the institution itself, just tell us, just call us, and we'll make sure that we get things done for you, so that you can be able to enjoy being a student like any other student. So yeah, this is a gospel that still needs to be preached, and so that people can get it in themselves, that having people with disabilities means that you have people like everybody else. We not, yes, we can be different in terms of walking, or in terms of speaking, or in terms of hearing, but that doesn't mean that we don't have to access in whatever everybody is accessing in, meaning education, meaning support, meaning everything that everyone is getting. So it's still a struggle, because at some point, some people don't even, they end up not going for tertiary education, because of maybe they went there and life wasn't easier for them, and then they end up dropping out, you know. Yeah, so it's still the survival of the fittest, really. Yeah.
Interesting. I think it's encouraging that there are others, that are headed towards the right direction, and we also need, I think, the rest of the institutions to sort of step up and be at par with the others. But something that I got from you, there's an issue with the generalization of disability, right? Where people tend to think that anyone and everyone who is disabled is actually, the same. Tell us a bit about that. How important is it for people to understand the nature of a person's disability than putting everyone in one box?
It's very important, and thank you for asking that question. It's a very important aspect to understand that disability is vast and it's diverse. Yes, we have disabilities as a group of people, but we are different. Someone using crutches may not really be someone who needs to be in a wheelchair. You know, someone who can walk with both their legs can also be someone with a disability that you guys cannot really identify because it's not seen. You know, it's not at face value for you to say he is with a disability. You know, so the important part is sitting down with those people who are said to have disabilities and try to understand, okay, Paulina, if you say to us you are living with a disability, so what kind of a disability is it? You know, so what kind of help or support do you need? Instead of us generalizing that, okay, because Paulina is using crutches, I think the fastest way to make her be able to walk from point A to B is using a wheelchair. You know, it's not always the case. You know, it's that thing of saying, okay, I see she is using crutches, but may I ask, how about we get a wheelchair for you to be able to walk from point A to B? And then if she says no, try to find out why she says no, you know, so that you be comfortable around her, she be comfortable around you as well. You know,
No, I think that is really an important aspect, because even for institutions, this is my view, right, that maybe when they prepare their disability units, they might make that mistake of thinking that everybody has the same needs, and if they speak to all those generalized needs, they might be helping everyone, and you find that some people are still left out. I want to move to something, right, and this is precisely because you did psychology, so I want to tap a little bit into that. Because we're having this at a time where I feel a lot of young people are going through a lot. You know, there's a lot going on in our country. There's issues of gender-based violence. There's issues of funding in tertiary institutions, and I can argue that young people are depressed out there. Young people are going through a lot of stress. What is your advice? What is your way of dealing with your own personal stress or depression, if you have ever been at that point?
I've been through depression. I've been, and it's not a nice place to be in, you know, because you are in this dark bubble of yours, where you wish, I constantly wish that I could, if I'm in bed, I could always be in bed in a dark room not the solution. So I think what made me feel better in time was I I'm a person who talks.
Yeah.
I talk, I express how I feel. So me being able to talk and express how I feel, I I used to talk to one of my friends. She was studying with me psychology at NMMU, so we were classmates. And uh, because now she's doing her masters and all that, so I would call her and tell her how I feel, and she would help me get through the day constantly. And also, I would also talk to one of my friends. I remember she bought me a teddy bear. She said, whenever you feel out of place and lonely, just give it a hug, because I think most of it all, I needed someone who just say, it's gonna be fine, it's gonna be okay. So we're going through a lot. There's a lot happening around us, and at times depression is taken as they take it lightly. People take it lightly when someone says they are depressed. So some people would say, no, this one is just an attention seeker. Gandhi, you don't know what they really are going through. So what the advice that I can give to anyone is, just be there, just listen. If you can't do anything, just listen. I promise you, it helps. It helps a lot. If you have nothing to say, just give someone an ear. Let them talk, let them cry, let them, let them cry so that they feel better. After that, then, just buy some ice cream for them. Cry, eat ice cream, and they'll feel better. And another thing, for people who can't express themselves, who can't tell anyone, who are afraid of being judged, maybe just buy yourself a journal and start writing how you feel. I think that's where I also got my strength, because I write a lot. I just write, you know. So it helps me. So I think it can help someone out there, if you can't talk to anyone, if you're scared of being judged because of what you're going through, just write it down. And you'll see one day when you reflect and read what you've written previously, it makes such a difference. So, yes.
Yeah, that's true. I think I can relate with the writing part. So, when I was in high school, right, in grade 9, I used to write music.
Oh.
Yeah, so I would record some of this. So when I listen to that stuff now, I'm like, okay, what was I going through here? Like, why did I have to say this? And I'm able to, sort of have that reflection to see that, I was, going through this phase, and this is what was happening around that time. But one other thing I find interesting from what you just said is the fact that someone would think that you, as someone who did psychology, as someone who is expected to counsel people, someone would think you don't have problems of your own because you solve other people's problems. But this is just to show that we all go through
different things at different times and seasons. And also, just to add a little, something that helped me, like it helped me a lot, was me reading the Bible. Like, there's a certain psalm that it still helps me through a lot of things. Psalm 91. Because my depression was to a point whereby I would be scared to sleep at night. I would constantly scratch myself and, you know, being afraid, wanting to hold on to something, but there was nothing to hold on. So, and then a friend of mine said, okay, just read Psalm 91 before you sleep. You read it repeatedly like a rhyme, you know, like you're rhyming something until you go to sleep. So it was my lullaby, sort of. I would read verse 1 up to the to the last verse and go back again and go until I sleep. So it helped me a lot, and it 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 showed me that if you really make God your tower and your hiding place, He really is there to help you in whatever you're going through, you know. So it really did help me, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a really encouraging message. That is really encouraging. I hope that people that are currently going through certain difficulties, you know, can find inspiration from that. So I want to move to something. So you said you did psychology, and then after that you had to do internships, and then you ended up in IT where you are right now at the moment. Just before I ask you questions regarding the IT stuff that I want to ask about, just tell us about your journey thus far. You know, that transition from psychology into doing IT. How are you? How are you finding it?
Wow, IT was so ancient for me. Like it was something very different from where I come from. From psychology, it was human behavior, and I love people, so it was so easy to just venture in. But IT, it's you and your PC, and it's just you and your PC and problem solving techniques, you know, if I can put it that way. So it wasn't easy. It wasn't. Remember, I came here because I was hungry for opportunity. We live in a society whereby being disabled or differently abled, you constantly have to prove yourself to the society that I can do this. And you proving yourself means you have to work harder than anyone else, because people constantly don't believe in you. You know, they don't believe that you can do this because your disability speaks before you even speak for yourself, you know. Before I enter the door, the first thing that enters the door are my crutches and my being. So whatever I have to say, people have already saw what they saw. So they're going to judge me according to what they saw, you know. So it blinds whatever I have, you know. It blinds them from getting who I really am, you know. So me coming here was because of opportunity. I was hungry because out there I would get internships, and then they would end, and then I'll be told, no, we have no other vacancy spaces for next year. So but when you're sitting there at home, you hear that, no, that company that you used to work for, they hired someone else to do exactly what you were doing, you know.
Of which they said there was no vacancy.
Exactly. So I came here and I said, God, I need opportunity. So please go with me and level whatever mountain is there. So I came and I told myself, okay, fine, I'm here. I don't know anything about this discipline, but I trust you, God, to walk with me, you know. And really, I have a friend who slowly had patience enough to introduce me to this IT world slowly and slowly until I understood exactly, and then I developed the love, and I saw myself being there. I can proudly say I see myself in the IT space now. You know, I do have ideas that I would love to share with the world, combining my IT and my psychology, and me being differently able to make a difference out there to other people, you know. Yeah, I don't know if I've answered your
definitely,
question.
definitely interesting. And I even have more questions, based on what you have said. I think this is really interesting. You speak about how you want to combine your psychology and IT, right? Of which I want to get into after the next question that I'm
Okay.
gonna ask you just now. So interesting. So with me, I'm gonna share a little story with you. So I actually did chemical engineering before
Okay.
IT, right? And now I, until today, I've never thought of a way that I can use the two. So it's just dump the other and then just continue
Wow.
with this one. So I want us to talk a little bit about how you think psychology and IT can sort of converge. But before that, do you think we can use technology, right, to help people living with disability?
A lot, a lot. I'll make an example with me. My disability is cerebral palsy, which means it's the damage from the brain, which affects the movement of my limbs. So there's a side of my brain that was damaged at birth, which affects the movement of my limbs. So, in that being said, I also have spasms, especially when holding things and doing some of the things, you know. So I tend to struggle a lot with speed, you know. I've realized that my brain is faster than my body, you know, in a way that um, I can think of something and see it and see me doing it, but also my hands will be like, wait, you know. So I have to be patient with myself because sometimes I'll be trying to do something and I'll be shaky, you know. So I constantly have to understand myself and be patient about myself, you know. So I struggle with speed, either when writing or typing, but speed is a problem for me. So having said that, I know that technology can change that for me. You know, it can change that. For instance, there's an application. I just forgot its name. There's an application that's there that helps you, instead of you typing, it does that for you. You just speak, and then it detects, you know, speech. It's a speech detector kind of application. It detects whatever you say, and then it writes. You have to be in a very quiet space, you and your laptop, and you write. It does everything for you. So yeah, I mean, technology can help us a lot, you know. Even with people who have difficulties, concerning their speech and their brain, maybe they have some brain damage or stuff. There are things that are put in place which are technologically created to help those. There's a device which can read brain waves. For instance, when someone can't speak or utter a word, it can do that for them, so yeah.
Incredible stuff. I think it's a good thing you're in this field,
Yeah.
because we can then leverage, the use of technology
Exactly.
to attend to some of these needs. And I'm one person that is very passionate about technology because that's why when you're addressing that, I'm listening very attentively because I know ideas come from conversations. They come from
True.
thinking about stuff. And
True.
let's go to psychology then. I, without risking you exposing some of your future ideas
Yeah.
and business
Yeah.
ideas,
Yeah.
but how do you think technology can come into that space and help people?
I think technology is already in that space, but maybe people aren't aware that technology is already there. Remember, psychology is all about human behavior, and human behavior is something that we carry with ourselves, it's in us. So technology is human, like it's human creativity, so combining psychology and IT will be like usability kind of stuff, with the human behavior. What can we use to make life easier, for example, maybe let's say we're trying to create something for Paulina to walk quickly, not using crutches, but to be able to walk from point A to B. Us creating that, whatever that would be, either an app or something, it means we have to understand Paulina first. Who is Paulina? What makes Paulina tick? And from that, it's already human behavior, right? And we have studied her personality, which is personology, or yes, personology, which is the study of personality in psychology. So we've already discovered that, and then having that information, and then we say, okay, Paulina is this kind of a person. When she walks, she does this and this and this. What makes her comfortable is that and that and that, and then we create that which we are creating, or we innovate whatever we innovating using the information from psychology that we have.
And that makes me wonder why psychology is not in the IT curriculum, right? Because I'm now thinking in subjects like machine learning, that is where you're trying to use technology to mimic human behavior, right? But you find that people know a lot about the technology, but they know very little about human behavior that they are trying to emulate. So I think somewhere they should consider putting these.
Because with me, when you talk about machine learning, because I came here with psychology, I sat down and I was thinking, how can I combine these two? Because I love psychology, I love people, they fascinate me. People fascinate me. Human behavior fascinate me. I learn a lot from different personalities and behavior and stuff. So I was sitting and thinking, so if you're doing machine learning, so that's where the psychology is, because you can't just create something without understanding humans. So that's where the interest is.
Powerful stuff. Can't wait to see what you will do in the future, what ideas you're going to implement. And I really wish you all the best when it comes to that. So I'm thinking of asking you this very popular question. People outside IT think that automation is a danger, to humanity. People will lose their jobs because we will now have machines that can do what humans are currently doing. So hence, replacing human effort in the near future. do you think that is a misconception? Do you think people should be afraid that we are headed in that direction? Is this an opportunity or a threat?
I would say it depends.
Yeah.
It depends because for me, automation, if anything, makes lives very easy. Very easy. It makes things very quick. Rather than using human strength, why don't we go for machinery strength and machinery brains? Yes, maybe for. Remember, in our country, there's. I don't want to say classes, but there's people who depend on strength to put bread on the table. You know,
true.
and then there's people who depend on intelligence, if I can put it that way. I don't want to put things in a wrong way, but who depend on intelligence and to put food on the table. So there's a huge gap between those two. So I understand the fear, especially to the people who depend on strength to put food on the table, because it means if automation comes, then we have to cut down the number. We're not doing away with everyone, but we're cutting down the number because our Bob now can do the lifting of whatever and can pack groceries, so we don't need Mandla and Senzo, you know. So I kind of understand the fear, but also I'm excited that at least slowly we're getting there and things will be much quicker because the quicker the things, it means that we can manage our time and we can get more of capital, you know. The more the capital, the more the resources, and the more the scales of employment go up, you know. I think so.
That was a beautiful, balanced breakdown of
Thank you.
because usually people are on one side and not the other, but I think you really outlined it in a very balanced manner, considering the circumstances that we are in as a country. But I think people should not be afraid, because it also opens up other opportunities for people, educational opportunities.
And also, you'll find that even the people who depend on strength to make it through life, they just don't know, they were just not aware that I'm this creative. The thing is, especially in our country, I think for a long time our parents and grandparents were introduced to the fact that only education can open doors for you. So they left the creativity part, and when they couldn't fit into into education, they thought there's nothing of us, you know. If maybe from the start people were introduced to the fact that there's education, yes, but there's also indigenous creativity where you can be able to do your own thing without even knocking at the school's doors, you know. It would be perfect. So the fear is, I've never been to school. So what good could come from me because I don't know anything about education, only to find that person is so skilled, but then because they don't know how to write their names, they think then that's that, you know.
Wow, that's one. And so in that way, I think the education space has excluded a lot of people because of the way it's defined as well.
It did.
So people think that okay, no, education is not for us. And all of that.
Yes.
But as we come to a close, right? I want us to go back to disability awareness. So I'm just going to ask you these two questions at the same time, and maybe you can, try and expand on that. So my curiosity has always been like, through your upbringing up to where you are now, what is it that you wish people understood better about disability? And maybe these are the things that people can educate themselves about. And that also speaks to the other question that I have, which is, what are the misconceptions and the myths, surrounding disability? So if you can just like combine that together and you address the misconceptions people have and the things that you really wish people were aware of, people could learn.
I personally, I wish people had known that being differently able is just that. It's just being differently able. I remember I was talking to my friend 2 days ago saying, we are all differently able. If you want me to put it out there, we are all disabled. You are disabled, I'm disabled. Because why? There's something that I can do that you can't do, that you would need me to help you with to be able to do it. So it means that in that you have a disability to do that. I promise you, if we understood that from the on-go, then there would be no problem. There would be no problem. And the understanding, if the understanding could go to a point whereby you teach your children whilst they grow that being disabled is just that. Being differently abled is just you having a different ability to the other, then it would be fine. We wouldn't have younger children staring at people with disabilities as if, we wouldn't have older people saying things that are negative because when they look at you, different from them, And also the misconceptions, oh my goodness, there's a lot. There's a lot. You go to education, you go to religious, you go anywhere. There's some beliefs, man, that people have concerning disability, and which it's a lie. Like thinking that differently abled people need a miracle.
That's a huge one.
to walk or to talk. I've lived through that period, and it's not nice. It's not nice where you go into a church, and as soon as you get there, you see this group of people coming together with the pastor to lay hands on you. Driving demons away, saying all that, speaking in tongues, so that you can walk. And after the prayer, you're still the same, and you feel like you disappointed the whole church. It's not nice. It's I'm one person who has gone through it all. You have church members organizing. They hear there's a crusade, there's Benny Hinn coming. They book you a ticket. You go somewhere at the dome because Benny Hinn is there for a miracle. And once you come back still the same, then it's either you told you are of little faith. People quote scriptures, you of little faith. It's heartbreaking. It's not nice. But I thank God because He took me through that period to understand something. he then took me to a scripture in John chapter, I think it's John chapter 9, where the disciples were questioning Jesus about the blind man, saying, is it because his parents sinned, or is it because he sinned, or whatever the case? And Jesus said, no, some of these things are made for the glory of God, you know. And I also read a scripture in Corinthians chapter, 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 26 to 29, where he says he has made foolish things to bring down that which thinks it is wise, you know. And when you read the scripture up to the end, he says, so that no man takes my glory, you know. So it kind of gave me peace. It really gave me peace that, okay, God, some of these things you make them just for your own glory, because you are the creator of all. So whether someone thinks I need a miracle, I often say the greatest miracle for me was me accepting Jesus Christ as my personal savior. That was a miracle. And I got to understand what God needs of me and what I have to do. I simply have to praise God and worship Him. You know, that's what I need to do. The rest is up to Him. Where He leads me, I have to just follow. You know, so it gave me such peace. So I really wish the world could understand that disability or being differently able is just that. And it's beautiful. Imagine if we were all able, this place will be boring. Because there wouldn't be me. You know, I'm here to spice up things. You see you see Gamu, you see everyone. You guys are all the same because you guys are all running. But you see me, I come very slowly with my 4 legs. You know, that spices up everything. You know, it makes the picture very beautiful. So yeah, I mean.
Wow, like that explanation, it's, you know, like as you're speaking and I'm listening, I'm like, when are you writing a book, you know, and put all of that together, because...
Let me tell you something. I started my book, but I think I get lazy and some of the things and my academics get the better of me, and I push it aside. I should have finished it by now, but I keep on writing short articles and all that stuff.
No, keep doing that, because I personally, like, from the moment we started the interview, I have learned a lot of things that I didn't know, and I'm even thinking now as we are sitting here. You know, when you explain the fact that we are all disabled, and that is something that I totally agree with, and I think maybe people didn't look at it that way. You know? So the fact that there's something that I can't do, that Kamo behind the camera can do, there's something that I can't do that you can do, makes us, you know, live in this beautiful world where we all need each other.
God is a God of diversity, guys. There's a reason why God created us so different. He loves difference. He's a God of difference. He is a God of uniqueness. He doesn't like uniform.
That's true. Wow. So as we come to a close, I just feel like highlighting these my take homes, you know, from the interview. I think the first thing that you said that really amazed me was when you explained disability. That, you know, people living with a disability, like, that is an ability on its own. Like, there's an ability that is hidden behind it, and I think that is something that is very powerful. And then another thing you mentioned that I definitely will not forget, you speak about how people see your disability as, you know, the first thing that they see in you when you walk into a room. the first thing that walks into that room is actually your disability, which is a culture that we have that we should, definitely rid ourselves of. And I think that is very powerful. The last thing, which is my favorite, obviously, is the fact that we are all disabled. There's something that all of us, cannot do, and we need other people to do that. So, thank you so much for sharing that knowledge and for sharing that wisdom with us and with our followers. And I believe that this is something that is definitely going to help people. I'm gonna keep reminding you to work on that book, until you have it, because I think your ability to explain things in a way that people never saw them is something that stands out about you, and your ability to narrate stories. That is beautiful. I can't even believe we have run out of time, but that was amazing. I think you have got high intellectual capacity and your understanding of how we consume information, because I've learned a lot just listening to you. So thank you so much for being part of the show, and I'll continue being a huge fan. What are your last words to our viewers at home?
Just keep on doing you, and know that you are enough. You are enough. There's no addition to you, there's no subtraction. You. Just shine your light and make a difference in someone's life, and keep smiling.
Wow, thank you so much, Paulina. Well, that is the end of our show this evening. We hope to see you again next week, friends of the show. We are always here talking about really important and interesting issues. And that was our beautiful conversation today with Paulina. Until next time, enjoy the rest of your week.